A group of beggars sat around on the street, spitting and chatting excitedly. Since the arrival of the Gu worms and Gu jars 10 years ago, the world as structure had undergone a dramatic shift. Mechanicals and firearms were rendered useless, and mass unemployment spread worldwide. The only way to survive and rise in this new world was to open a Gu jar. Gu jars, appearing in different colors, randomly descended in various places. To open one, people had to sacrifice a portion of their lifespan. The lowest grade jars took a year as life, but higher level jars could consume millions of years. The risks were high. Lucky ones could gain powerful Gu worms and rise to prominence, while others might draw dangerous worms, like the death Gu or disease Gu, leading to a grim fate. In this world, wealth and status were irrelevant. Only lifespan mattered. At this moment, in a dark alley, a young man in tattered clothes lay on the ground, his forehead dripping with cold sweat. His face contorted in pain, as though tormented by a nightmare. He suddenly snapped his eyes open, a sharp pain in his head, as fragments of memory flooded his mind. After a moment, he murmured, "This is Galaxy City, 30 years ago. I've been reborn." Gu Wen, son, realized that he had returned to 30 years ago. This meant he had the chance to change his future. 30 years later, humanity would be nearly wiped out, and he was one of the last hopes. He decided to venture into the forbidden area of Shenningjie in China, seeking a powerful Gu worm, in hopes of altering the future. In the heart of the forbidden land, Gu Wen discovered a strange, colorless Gu jar. It didn't require any lifespan or other items to open. With no other options, he opened it without hesitation. A blinding red light erupted as a Gu worm shot out of the jar, burrowing into his brain and devouring his brain matter, blood, and lifespan. His consciousness shattered, plunging him into death. Before he died, he glimpsed the word show, lifespan carved on the Gu worm's back. But death didn't end everything. Gu Wen was shocked to find himself reborn. Reflecting on the final moments of his previous life, he realized that mysterious Gu worm might be the key to his rebirth. After further investigation, Gu Wen used his mental strength to scan his body and found the same crimson Gu worm in his heart. His claws gripped his heart, intertwined with his blood vessels, as if naturally fused. Gu Wen immediately checked the worm's information and learned it was the legendary lifespan Gu. This Gu worm was one of the most powerful in the world, capable of devouring lifespan and mastering the path of lifespan. In a world where opening Gu jars and nurturing Gu worms required lifespan, the lifespan Gu was unparalleled. Owning it meant possessing everything. Gu Wen's heart skipped a beat, then filled with excitement and resolve. With this powerful Gu worm, he would rise and change his fate in this new life. No longer the helpless man of his previous life, he would no longer tolerate any threat to humanity. Everyone who had once pursued him would pay. He whispered coldly, "In this life, I will control everything, change everything." Just then, the chatter of beggars reached his ears, triggering a memory from his past life. Once a naive student, he had been wrongfully accused and forced onto the streets. Those beggars had stolen his white Gu jar, nearly leading to his death. These memories flashed in his mind, and a cold smile spread across his face. Looking at the beggars before him, he smiled wickedly. "In the last life, you took my white Gu jar. This time, you will pay with your lives." Gu Wen reached into his pocket and retrieved the wooden Gu jar, his eyes complex. This was the honorary Gu jar he had received at the Gu Master Academy, symbolizing his past achievements. But all of that had been smeared and destroyed, and at his lowest point, the beggar had stolen it from him. He had been powerless to resist, forced to watch everything be taken from him. But now, everything would come full circle. He would make them pay himself. Gu Wen stared at the wooden Gu jar in his hand, frowning slightly, when he suddenly noticed it had displayed information. Inside the jar is a one-turn fire Gu, white grade. After refining it can control flame, with no danger. Gu Wen's eyes widened in excitement. He knew what this meant. This fire Gu was an incredibly useful worm that would grant him immense combat power. However, what excited him the most was still the lifespan Gu inside his body. It could devour lifespans, making him stronger. As his strength grew, so did Gu Wen's ambition. He was determined to change everything, to control everything. He looked down at the white Gu jar in his hand, his gaze cold, but his mind was already plotting his future moves. In this life, he would make everyone who had wronged him pay. He would completely turn the tables, rising from the bottom to become the ruler of this world. Gu Wen suddenly stood up, his eyes sharp, a cold smile forming on his lips. He knew this was just the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come. "I've been reborn. The pain of the past will no longer bite me." He gazed into the distance, his eyes flashing with a chilling resolve. "This life, I will make everyone remember my name.